deserve to have the best physical, mental, spiritual, Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis.
Welcome to another episode of Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis. I'm your host. It is Monday, April 28th of 2025, and today we're going to focus on something I think is kind of molded me as a person and, in everyday life, obviously starting with football. The attitude, well, it's actually gratitude versus attitude and appreciation. We'll throw that word in there too, because there's a lot of different ways we look at things in our lives. And, just me growing older, I'll be 53 this May next month. And I've experienced a lot of things in my life, with me personally, clearly, but also with others, and the older I get, the younger generations that I'm around as a kicking coach, I see, the types of kids that are out and kind of growing up and kind of attitudes. And I say attitudes in a couple of different ways. One, when I'm referring to gratitude versus attitude is a negative thing. But when I'm referring to it kind of now is more or less just kind of the attitudes that they have, whether, they could be good attitudes, clearly. But with the concept of gratitude versus attitude, I'm kind of relating the attitude is a negative in a sense where, there's a certain attitude kids have towards, we'll say, hard work, or just, there's kind of maybe a little bit of an entitlement out there. And I'm kind of noticing a little bit more of that. The older I get and the younger these kids are, and just about how they're raised and just kind of their outlook on what to expect when it comes to just learning things and so forth. But there's a lot of reasons why we need to have gratitude. We need to be gracious for a lot of the things that we have. We'll get into a lot of details about that and just my personal experience. Once again, I always want to reiterate that I'm not a professional in a lot of things I'm talking about. Yes, of course, kicking and all that, I can be considered a professional because I'm a coach. I play professionally and all that jazz. But when I'm referring to just everyday life experiences that I've learned, I just feel that, the football aspect has taught me a lot about a lot, discipline and responsibility and accountability and camaraderie and teamwork and all that stuff. I can throw a lot of words in there. But with regards to just kind of everyday life and things in general, when we're going to focus today about the differences between gratitude and attitude and of course, appreciation for what we have on this earth and this limited time on earth that we have as humans. And so for that, I'll skip away to our sponsor, and we'll be right back to talk a lot more about gratitude and attitude.
At 3, we want to give you the true health benefits that you're paying for, something you can feel and see a difference quickly. Each product is packed with powerful plant-based nutrients that are combined through a proprietary curation process and then infused with innovative cellular absorption technologies to ensure the nutrients absorb into the cells for maximum wellness. The quality and effectiveness of our life-changing products is evident by their approval to be included in the well-known Prescriber's Digital Reference, or PDR. PDR has been a valuable resource to the medical doctors and providers in the healthcare community for decades. Our products are GMO-free, clinically studied, and third-party tested, all designed to support health and proactive wellness for everyone.
And welcome back. I definitely want to just kind of reiterate the fact that, through my life experiences and these concepts that I always refer to, that I've always been, a victim of things as far as just kind of some of these, these words and concepts I'm talking about. I was ungrateful at periods of times in my life. And I learned that those clearly aren't the attitudes I should have had, of course, but I revert back to when I retired from the NFL. When I retired, I was a New York Giant player up there in New York, and I had signed a 5-year deal, and I got released after my first year, but I was on injury reserve that year. And so I got released by failed physical. And, it was my third and eventually fourth back surgery because I had a staph infection from the third surgery. So I had to have a fourth surgery for that staph infection. So with regards to kind of my I'm going to say my lack of gratitude and my negative attitude. When I retired, I thought, okay, you know what? I probably want to just, make sure that I'm not going to, hurt my back anymore. I've had 8 seasons, 9 good years in the NFL, and made some good money, decent money. And I just, I want to, it was incredibly stressful mentally and physically, especially with my back the way it was. I always felt like I had to, kick it harder or do more work. And it just became a very stressful time for me, both mentally and physically. So with regards to just kind of my attitude when I retired and moved back to Jacksonville, I kind of had this mindset where, okay, I'm going to move back to One of the reasons why I wanted to move back to Jacksonville is because I was here for 7 years as a Jaguar, and during that time, I got to know business owners, and I've developed a network of people that I knew and trusted, and friendships and all that. So, and of course, the weather was great and still is to this day. What is it? 82 degrees right now. It's 5:30, 5:40 actually in the afternoon. But with regards to kind of my attitude, I wasn't very prepared because what I meant by that when I said I moved back and coming back to an area that I was at for 7 years and having the friendships and the business people that I kind of got to know, I kind of more or less thought that, well, I don't really know what I want to do post retirement. That's another thing I didn't prepare myself for. I was a little complacent when it came to preparation for real life. A lot of people don't realize that, oh, you're an NFL player, you play 10 years, but, and a guy, in my situation, I wasn't making tons of money. I signed a 4-year deal, 5-year deal with the Giants, 4-year deal with the Jaguars, but I only got 1 year of my 5-year deal with the Giants. So my point is that I didn't make the millions of dollars that these guys are making these days. And so, I should have prepared much better. But what people think is that, he's a player in the NFL. He's totally, his life is set. You don't have to work. No, we do have to work, and definitely, have some things. And a lot of times, because when I came back, and it was kind of the way I retired was a little different. I had, I had an injury protection benefit that I took advantage of. I applied for and I got it, and so it was a sum of money for the year that I came out of the NFL. So it wasn't like I was cut cold turkey with my salary. I still was able to benefit from this injury protection benefit that I received. But my point is that I thought that coming back, I got bored. In other words, when I retired, I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm going to collect this money this year, and I'm going to just kind of hang around. Well, I bought a new house. It was brand new. And there were some things I wanted to get done. I had a honey-do list. I had all these things I wanted to do, and I did all those things, and it took me a couple months to do that. And then I kind of figured out, I was kind of woke up one day, like twiddling my thumbs, like, well, heck, what am I going to do now? And I literally realized that I got to find something to do, because I can't, this is not the way my life is going to be. I didn't make that much money. At the time I was making some good money, decent money that was coming through. I can invest it and, for long-term and all that, which I didn't do very great with those either, those investments and things like that I did during my time in the NFL. But my point is that I got, complacent, thinking that I didn't have to do anything. Then when I finally realized, well, I gotta work. We have to definitely do some things. I had, cars and things like that. We had a few mortgages because we had like 3 different properties, and I wasn't making the NFL money I used to. And so definitely I had to downsize and get rid of, a lot of those things that I had when I was playing. And so, cause I couldn't afford to keep them, but I still have to work. And so I wasn't prepared. And so the whole moral of the story is the fact that I thought, here I am being a little stubborn, thinking, and maybe a little entitled, thinking that, well, as a former NFL player, I'll come back to Jacksonville and I'm sure I'll get some opportunities to do something, radio or TV or something. And I didn't honestly go out and seek those. I just was kind of waiting to see if anybody, because I had seen it with other players in the past that had retired and came back, and I wasn't very grateful in the fact that I wasn't getting any opportunities given to me. Right. I wasn't, and again, that was my fault. That's why when I opened up saying I was a victim to a lot of the stuff I talk about, that's a prime example of that. I was a victim in myself of expecting that I would get the job, or something that, people would actually, reach out to me and want me to work for them. I was always heard, these big corporations love to hire former NFL athletes because our mindset is different. We're go-getters, we're workers, and we know what it takes to work hard, and teamwork is an incredibly important thing for us as well. And I understand that. I get all that, but I didn't prepare myself for what I wanted to do. One other thing that people don't realize is the longer you're in football in the NFL, the longer you're away from maybe the degree that you graduated from college with, and all the peers that you went to school with are now, 10 years after graduating from college, they're 10 years into their profession for the most part. If I'm 10 years out of the NFL, that's 10 years that I wasn't in a profession that I would have been had I just gone into the professional world after graduation, college graduation. So my point in saying that is the fact that we're 10 years, or however long you played, you're that many years behind everybody else that graduated with the same degree you did. And it was, so again, I didn't really necessarily want to get back into, I was a physical education major. I would probably be into corporate wellness, which was, it's something I definitely, now, I mean, I went through a couple little phases, but at the time I wasn't interested in that because I kind of had just gotten out of football. I'm like, man, I don't want to get into the wellness and have to teach people how to stay healthy and be healthy at the time. I clearly do now, but at the time I didn't. And so I didn't want to go back to school. I probably had to get certifications and all kinds of different things. And again, going back to my point, I did not prepare myself very well at all. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so when it comes to this appreciation of things that we receive as people in the spotlight, and opportunities that we get, I can throw that word in there as well. So you think about gratitude versus attitude. We as human nature, I think we sometimes have a hard time being grateful for the things that we have. And the older I get, again, hopefully maybe you guys maybe have experienced this as well, that the older we get, the more we kind of realize how we need to be grateful for the things that we have. And we may not have much. I can be honest with you. I definitely don't have the things I used to have when I played in the NFL. Not even close, right? So, but I'm grateful. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm helping people. I'm really enjoying the things that I do in my life. And do they always bring in tons of? No, they don't bring in tons of money. That's not what I'm about. I'm about helping people however I can. And if monetary, advantages come with that, great. If they don't, it's okay. I volunteer my time a lot, as long as I'm helping people, because I've told you guys a million times, I think I've been placed on this earth to help people. And that's just what I've been really good at doing, and very accommodating. And so I'm grateful that I can help people. I'm grateful for the things, limited things that I have now versus when I did. And believe me, another side note really is the fact that you talk about people, what they think they can do with $1 million. Oh man, I wish I had $1 million. I would do this, this, and this. I say, well, first half of that's gone from the government. Government's going to take half of that away. Second off, if you think about that 500,000 that you're left in your hand as far as a net income, or whatever the case may be, that's not going to last you very long. And especially if you have the attitude of spending it because you think that's the way things are going to go. And I got this money, I'm always going to have the money. That's the problem with a lot of people in general, and in NFL athletes. Clearly, I was one of them. Oh yeah, I'm playing the NFL for however long as I can, and then after that, I'm going to be okay. I'll be set. Well, it didn't quite work out like that. And so I wasn't grateful then. I am now. I'm very grateful for the things that I was able to do back then. And I'm very grateful for the things that I have now, even though I went through a period of time where I was upset that I felt I had that entitlement. Again, going back to that attitude, gratitude versus attitude, that bad attitude of having this entitlement attitude where I'm like, someone's going to give me a job. That's no problem. That didn't happen. And so there was a period of time during my post NFL career that I was a little, upset. I was a little, concerned the fact that I wasn't getting the things I thought I was going to get. And so I, through some humbling, realized that I have to be a little bit more honest with myself and more realistic. and especially the older I get. I'm 53. I'm 30 years out of football. So, well, 20 years out of the NFL, but 22 years, whatever it is. But I'm still, learning that I have to be more grateful for things that I have, even though I don't have a whole lot right now, and as far as compared to what I used to have. But the attitude part is really where I want to focus on, where people who have the wrong attitude about things, and I got to be honest with you, I'm seeing it at the younger generations. The first time I realized that our society with the kids who are growing up, I first realized that something's not right about this. I was literally trick or treating with my kids after I retired from the NFL. I don't remember how many years ago it was, maybe about maybe around 2007 or 8 or somewhere in there. But I was trick or treating with my kids in a very well known place here in Jacksonville, where they give out big candy bars, and they're very wealthy people. And it was kind of a haunted house kind of set up, and I'm walking up this driveway, and there's kids everywhere, and they had people dressed up, and they were kind of scaring people and spooking people, right? They're jumping out of the bushes, and this kid there's a ghost or something that jumped out. I can't remember what it was. Jumped out and maybe brushed the kid or something. And the kid looked at the guy, and it was a kind of a, it was a kid. It was a teenager. He goes, hey, don't touch me. I'll sue. Like, I was like, whoa, this is just this is Halloween. We're having fun here, and you're gonna sue the household. And, well, you know what my dad is, and he starts getting all upset with this person dressed up in a costume, just trying to have some fun, right? So I kind of knew at that point that kind of the ways that kids are thinking, and the entitlement, and it might have, well, I think it clearly does. I don't want to be rude, but I want to say that has a lot to do with how they're raised. If the parents are raising these kids to be entitled and get everything they want, a kid asks for something, oh yeah, little Johnny, here you go, without earning it in a sense, or without being grateful for it. Let's put that word again in. They become really heavy in an attitude where they think that things are going to come their way and they deserve things. The whole concept of deserving stuff is clearly entitlement and what I've been referring to. But that is where I think that people miss the boat. I can relate that to athletes in general, whether they're kickers that I've competed against or with or whatever, or they're just regular athletes that have these attitudes. If they have kind of a negative attitude, and I'll give you the kickers because I know this for firsthand. I've charted kids in competitions a lot. I have witnessed and heard just things that they say, and I've kind of learned. I was kind of taught certain things going into tryouts. Don't complain. If it's a bad hold, don't say a word. If the balls are bad, if they're too new, don't say a word. Kick the ball, do your job, keep your mouth shut. Not in a rude way, but that was what I was really kind of taught. Like, hey, go in there knowing that you're a professional. You've got to deal with whatever elements there are, whatever the hold is. You have to adjust. Maybe you have to do the best you can under those circumstances, whether they're footballs. Jim Gaetano, my coach, told me a story when he went to a workout one year. I think it was for the Chiefs or something years ago. The special teams coach put about like 25 pounds of air pressure in the footballs that they were kicking. And Jim was the only one that didn't say a thing. And back then they had a lot of guys at their tryouts, right? So everyone was like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with these footballs? Oh, and they're blaming the air pressure in the footballs for all their misses, right? Well, that's my point. When you have that ungrateful attitude in that kind of an entitlement, you're very easy to make excuses. You're very easy to share with people why you did something, and oh, you have this built-in reason why, and it wasn't your fault because you're perfect, right? That's what these people, I say people in general because there's kids doing it quite a bit, but then also like people in general, like older, even adults kind of do it sometimes if they don't have that gratitude. If you have gratitude towards the things that you have in life, your daily, everyday routine, the people you're around, if you're thankful for those kind of things, good things will happen to you. It's just a weird thing. I've noticed that too. And even biblically, you talk about how the Lord and in the Bible, it says, listen, we as a human species, we have to be grateful for the things we have. And think about people living in other countries that are incredibly poor. We're all boo-hooing about, our finances and the situation we're in now, but we've got a roof over our head and we're making it. We're surviving. But there's people in different countries that don't even have a roof over their head. There's people living in the streets right now that for whatever reason they're on the streets. But my point is that if we're not have gratitude, if we're not gracious for the things as small as they might seem to us. Now you talk about the person in that third world country that's very poor, they would be ecstatic to have the things that we have. And so that's where perspective comes in too. That's another big word that I'll throw in there too. We got great gratitude, we got attitude, we got perspective, we got all kinds of achievements, and that's the other thing too. I will throw achievements in there because on a daily basis, when you're talking about your lifestyle, what you're doing, and if you're lazy and you're not accomplishing a lot of stuff or achieving a lot of things, you don't feel satisfied or grateful for doing so, right? And so another great part about gratitude and having gratitude is working hard for things that you feel the gratitude of achieving. And I know there's days where I'm kind of lazy or I don't do what I told myself I was going to do. We all kind of have those days. Maybe things come up, plans change. I get that. But when there's days when I accomplish a lot of stuff, I sit down at the end of the night, watch TV, whatever I'm doing, and I'm just like, I'm satisfied. There's a lot of like gratitude in me at that time because I've accomplished something. And I feel many things actually during the day, whatever it was I was accomplishing, but that kind of gives me the attitude to feel comfortable about what I did. And so I think that is a chain of reaction. I think if you can live your life with gratitude and less attitude, we'll say, and be grateful for the things that we have, that we've achieved, that we deserve. That's another thing too. They don't think of deserve as a bad word. God wants us to feel deserving of stuff. We are deserving of His love. He's obviously the creator of us, but we deserve things. But I don't want the word deserve to feel like it's something entitled. It's not because we're entitled, but it's because we have achieved things. We've worked hard. We've done things out of our will, and we've earned that achievement. Okay, there's a huge difference in deserving things. Whether you feel like you deserve things for not earning them, that's the attitude, the bad attitude I keep referring to. Going back to kind of athletes in general, people in general, the ones that make the more excuses are the ones that are typically not the success that they could be or should be. I've been witness to a lot of kickers who kind of more or less talk their way out of an opportunity because of just they can't keep their mouth shut about why they didn't make that kick, or they make excuses on why they didn't. Like, I'm not talking just a little, like, oh, the hole was a little off. No, there's like, oh, the hole was terrible, and oh, I need a new holder, and the snap was terrible, the wind or whatever. They come up with everything they possibly can. And I'm telling you, as an experienced NFL athlete with experienced NFL coaches, the last thing you're going to tell an NFL coach is an excuse. In a sense where you're making excuses on why you didn't do your job. Now, I had an experience with Tom Coughlin one time. He did call me out in a meeting. He said something to the effect of, "I don't need my kicker making excuses on why we missed, we lost the game," or whatever. I can't remember what the point was, but he literally said, and of course everyone knows who the kicker is because I'm the only one on the team is a kicker. He said, "I don't need my kicker telling me, making excuses on why he missed field," whatever he said. But I was a little offended by that because my explanations had become excuses at that point. And I kind of learned something. I thought, well, I probably explained too much. Maybe I explained in a sense where it made it look or sound like an excuse or excuses why I missed the kick. But all I was doing is explaining what happened. And so I learned from that. I kind of every time the coach would ask me from that point on what I thought I did wrong, or where the mishap happened or whatever, I would say, yes, well, the snap was off a little bit, but I need to get better at it. And I would always follow up with, I need to do a better job of adjusting. That solidified everything. Now, it wasn't an excuse. I said what I thought happened. That the hole was off. That I don't even know. It happened so fast. I felt pressure and I rushed myself. Whatever the case may be, that's the reason I missed the kick. Yes, that's my fault. I rushed it. I didn't need to rush it, but I rushed it. But my point is that I learned how to come back with like, oh, I need to learn how to, not react to that pressure. I need to get better at that. And so that's a good thing. That kind of solidifies the confidence in the coaches for future kicks and so forth. And so they know that their kicker's not making excuses when they miss kicks. So having the good attitude about things will give you that gratitude. Having the ability to accomplish things throughout your life is very rewarding, and it's almost like you deserve the gratitude at that point, because if you've worked hard and achieved a lot of things, gratitude is very easy to have. Yes, there are people out there, we'll call them narcissists, that there's a lot of issues with narcissists. I've done a lot of research on narcissists and just read a lot of stuff about narcissism and the people that they are. Nothing makes them happy. That's one major thing about a narcissist. They always have to cut people down to make themselves feel better. But my point is, when it comes down to just natural reality, and usually it's about money. They can have all the money in the world and they're still miserable. Like, wow, like you've worked really hard for the money you've deserved because you put the work in, but your narcissistic attitude is making you a miserable person because you don't feel like you're not happy because of your hard work, and you don't understand gratitude. That's another thing that's really where I'm going with that, is the fact that these narcissists, people who are narcissistic, they don't respect gratitude. They don't really know what it is. And so I understand that, when you achieve something and you're humble about it too, that's a huge deal. You have to be humble. And again, I refer to myself as a person that will help others. And I don't have too much pride where I'm not going to spend my time. I just feel obligated to help others. And it doesn't matter whether it has something to do with money or a payment of any sort of any type at all, or not. I do these things out of the kindness of my heart. I want to feel gratitude. I want to feel, I want to feel that people appreciate what I do, in a sense. But again, that gives me gratitude. I want to live my life full of gratitude and understanding that there are a lot of things in my life that I need to be thankful for instead of the opposite. And that's another thing that people have, these entitled people and narcissistic people. They don't feel that the things they have in their life are meaningful, meaningful to them. And so I think that that's a very, very challenging thing for a lot of people who don't appreciate things in a sense where they're deserving of it. And again, when I say deserving, I always feel like it's a negative word. Because I don't want you to feel or think that that deserving means that you've been entitled and you deserve it because you're just alive. We as human beings, we it's a gift. We have this precious gift. Life is a gift, and you can talk to people about who are people who are depressed and about they don't like their lives, and I've even heard kids as far as this whole political side about abortion. Yeah, that's a gray area. I'm kind of like I understand this life. I understand situations happen. I understand a lot of things, but there are kids out there that I've literally seen on videos and on social media and stuff saying that they are upset with their parents for conceiving them. I'm like, oh my gosh. Do you realize how many people in the world would be grateful to have children that can't have children or struggle to have children? Do you understand how grateful they would be to have a child? And you are sitting here telling the world essentially on social media, because those things go viral. You're telling us that you're upset with your mom for giving birth to you? Like, are you kidding me? That's a slap in God's face, really, because God gave you the gift to be alive on this planet and experience the real life things. Yes, there's struggles. Believe me, there are a lot of struggles, but there's a lot of gracious things that happen. There's a lot of gratitude that we can be very thankful for. A lot of experiences, lifetime experiences. And I'm telling you, like I mentioned, life is a precious gift. And I feel sorry for those people, even people who want to take their lives. Maybe the girl I'm mentioning, maybe she's very suicidal. I don't know. But there's a lot of people that are very suicidal. Some, I want to say that some maybe have a legitimate reason where they're just tired. They may be disabled. They're just tired. but it's still, in my opinion, there's still a reason why. If God wanted to make you disabled and throw a lot of things at you, and you think that that's on purpose, that's not. He did that because you are powerful in your own mind, and your mind, and you can control the things. You have a very strong attitude, and sometimes these people who have those things happen to them, they get weaker, that their mindset gets weaker, or they like, why did this happen to me and all this. But I'm telling you, I've been around people who've been disabled. I've been around people who were born without legs. I've been around, but they're happy. They're happy with what they're doing with their lives, even though they're not like everyone else and they've had this disability, but they appreciate life, even though it's more of a struggle probably for them than it is for people that are not disabled. I understand that. Believe me, I understand all of that. And I feel bad for those people who have to deal with that stuff. But there's a lot of those, disabled people that don't feel bad for themselves. They embrace life because, again, life is a gift. I believe that it's precious. Life is precious. It's a gift. And all of us right now today who are on planet Earth, I believe there's a reason why we're here. The ones that take their own lives, kind of in a sense, don't really know why they're here on this earth. And that's, sometimes it's very difficult to figure out. I understand that. Sometimes I struggle, like, why am I even here? Not in a bad way, but just understanding, there's maybe the trauma or things that happen in my life. Like, oh man, but again, I really revert back to my conscious and knowing that I have to be grateful for the things that I have. And I have to have, a good attitude, and I have to appreciate the things that I've worked hard for, deserve. We'll say that. We'll throw that in there. But in all reality, it really boils down to having gratitude will make you a better person. It will make you a lively person. It will give you life. People who are not grateful for what they have are the opposite. That they're miserable. They're maybe the narcissistic sides. Those kind of people that have those kind of attitudes. They have bad attitudes towards life if they're not grateful for things. But when you throw that perspective in, that's when it becomes a reality. Those people that don't have the ability to put things in perspective and not even understand or even acknowledge that their life is actually pretty good compared to other people around the world's lives, they would understand that, man, I can't be such a ungrateful person. I have to be a grateful person and understand that life is precious. It's a gift. And I'm grateful to be on this earth during this time. God, use me how you need me to. Tell me, guide me in wisdom and in the direction that you want me to be. And that's really where I think my life is specifically. I want to help others. I want to, obviously become, somebody as far as, being somebody that people kind of can rely on. I want to be accountable. Again, a lot of stuff about football. I want to be a teammate. I want to be accountable. I want to have a camaraderie with people in general. And I just love good people with good hearts. And those people are also very grateful and gracious of the things that they have. And so with that, I hope that it brings a smile to your face, and just understand and know that we have a good gift. We have a great gift being on this earth and having the experiences that we do, and just take advantage of being alive, breathing the air, get outside, get around friends, be social, and have that camaraderie and have a purpose. And that's really where sometimes if you're stuck in your house and you're not outside, you're not meeting people, you're not around, you're not, socializing, and you kind of lose purpose. But I think that a lot of people actually find their purpose really when they get out there and they get out in the real world and they explore things, and they get around other people, because we were able to kind of see other people's lives and maybe their problems, maybe their successes, whatever. You find purpose in being around others and enjoying life that was given to us. We're all of us who are alive today. There's a reason why we're still here, and find that reason, find that purpose, find that passion, and go for it. And never ever take things for granted. Another thing I will throw in there, but honestly, with that said, I'll end this episode by just sharing my personal experience of being just as grateful as I possibly can with the things that I've earned, and things that maybe I've not earned, things that I've accumulated, friendships that I have, family that I have, everything that I have in my life, I'm grateful for. And I hope you are too. So, with that said, you guys have a fabulous rest of your evening. We'll see you next week, Monday at 5:30 p.m. sharp. We'll see you then. Take care.
Thank you for watching Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you next time.